You're
I
pivoting.
didn't come here to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind, okay? I think I got corralled in here by your mod saying I can't talk unless I come on here.
Well,
and
yeah, because
argue
you've
with
been,
you,
for the
basically.
last 3.5 hours, you've been saying super dumb shit in my chat, and now I
I
see
don't think
why
it's
you...
dumb.
I know you don't, and that's why you're the Dunning-Kruger personified here. Because
Right.
you're not even able to perceive yourself as being wrong. You're not
No.
even open to the idea that maybe you could have your mind changed. You just think this way because you think this way, even though it's inconsistent with other forms of social identities like religion. All right, so what's up? You've been commenting a lot of shit in my chat. I think it was like, what were you saying, some transphobic stuff or whatever?
Well, you might call it transphobic. I'd call it a slight disagreement.
Okay, well, what is your disagreement?
Well, I think a woman's an adult human female, and you think that we should probably, I don't know, just call people that, what do you want to call it? If they say they're a woman, they're a woman.
Well, I mean, okay, that is kind of innately transphobic what you're saying.
You can call it that if you want.
No, I'm explaining why it is. It's because it
I know
inherently...
why you think it is. You can tell everybody else why it is.
Because
but
it
I know why you
inherently
think it is.
carries that you don't believe trans people to be valid.
I don't hate them, but I don't actually look at them the same way that I would a biological woman. No.
Well, let's break this down a little bit. So when you say adult human female, you're referring to sexual characteristics.
Yes, and yeah.
And when I say woman, I'm referring to culturally defined gender roles and expressions.
Yes, and I pretty much look at those, I would say almost the same.
But they're literally not the same.
Okay.
One is referring to a social thing. The other is referring to strictly biology. People who you deem women don't always reveal their biology to you.
Do you think that biological females don't have a shared history or anything at all like that?
What do you mean a shared history?
A history that they share, like fights that they've been, women's rights, stuff like that.
I mean, some of them maybe, but this is the turf argument that women must have some... Yeah, that this is the...
I would have to be a feminist to be a turf.
That women must all have some shared experience that is what defines them as being a woman. No, I think that some women fought for equality, and they had that experience, and there are other women that didn't fight for equality, and they too are also women without that experience.
Right, I would agree, but I think there's more to being a woman than putting a dress and makeup on and calling yourself a woman. That's all there is to it.
I agree with that. There's also the self-perception component.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's make this analogous then with religion. The slight caveat here being that you can change a religion, whereas gender identity is much harder to change. So can I put on let's say that I'm not a Christian, okay?
I'm not. I'm agnostic, and I can put on a religion like a person would a costume, because I'm agnostic and I can see it lots of different ways.
Sure. So if you put on something that implied you were religious, maybe you wear like a crucifix or you dress up as a priest.
All right.
So then are you not religious, or are you now religious?
I wouldn't say I would be a devout Christian by doing that. I would say I'm almost like a superficial one.
So what changes you from being authentically religious to just dressing up and appearing as a religious person?
And there could be lots of things depending on the religion.
No, in this hypothetical, what changes?
Which religion are we talking? If we're talking about Islam, we could be like, there's a different set of rules for Christians. There's like,
No, I'm not talking about rules here. Let's just say Catholicism, okay? Because if we're saying that you're wearing a crucifix and dressed up as a priest, we'll assume that for the sake of this, we're talking about believing in Jesus, like Christianity. So what differentiates you from the actual religious person?
I guess actually being a part of a community.
Why? You can be part of a community all the time, right? You can, you can be part of a religious community, and you might not necessarily be a Christian. You can present yourself
Yeah.
as a Christian, but you might not necessarily be a Christian. What makes you actually a Christian versus the person who's just appearing as one?
I am not a Christian, but my
It's for the
guess
sake of hypothetical,
is
my dude.
what makes you a Christian would be believing that Jesus died for our sins and you know the thing.
So it's a view of yourself. It's the self-perception. It's what you
That's
believe to be true internally.
Yeah, and that's how I look at identity. I believe what a woman is, and they might have a different view of what a
No,
woman
you're not. You're saying the complete opposite. You're saying that a woman, it refers to adult human female, and what I'm saying is that.
Yes.
And then you said woman is not just a costume. They don't just put on dresses and
It's a
makeup.
combination.
And I'm saying, yeah, that's true, because what actually carries the weight is the self-perception, the way that they believe themselves to
That's
be.
not all that I think that carries the weight.
That's what. Why does it carry the weight in terms of religion?
I think having a vagina carries the weight also.
But you don't know anybody has a vagina,
I
but
don't
you
have
still call
to.
people women.
Yes. And
So how
I
did you
didn't
come to
co-
the? Hold on, wait. How did you come to the conclusion that that person is a woman if you have not yet seen their vagina?
I didn't. I didn't really come to the conclusion.
So, I don't
It's
even know
just
how to respond to you. Like
culture.
you're
Yeah,
being
I
super
know.
It's been like 5 seconds. You're being so contradictory. So first, let's talk about the fact that we've now acknowledged that
Look,
what
okay.
differentiates. Wait, no, I gotta finish.
All right, go ahead.
What
man.
differentiates the Christian who's just dressing up and wearing a crucifix as opposed to the authentic Christian is the internal belief. That's what actually makes it authentic. You are an authentic
Okay.
Christian once you actually carry those beliefs. The same thing can be
Yes.
said with other identities. So you might put on a dress, you might wear makeup, but what ultimately carries the weight is the self-perception and the belief that you hold internally. And the reason that none of us are able to actually empirically demonstrate that you truly believe this thing because we're not mind readers, we take people at their word in regards to certain identities. When somebody says they're a Christian, I'm not going to say, really? Let me open up your head so I can see your brain. We take them at their word because it is a form of identity.
Whatever they're sitting there with a bottle of Jack Daniels looking at a Playboy, and they told you they were a Christian.
Yeah, why couldn't they? Could be a Christian still.
Yeah, they could.
Could they not?
While talking about beating their wife, you say, "Yeah, you're just as much a Christian as this guy I know that goes around and donates money and helps
Christians
everybody
believe
that
that
he can."
no, not just as much of one. Your actions can
Right.
still hold weight.
Oh, so there's degrees of it.
Well, no, your actions can like indicate your internal perception, but
Yeah.
just if you are reading a Playboy, drinking a Jack Daniels, doesn't mean you're not a Christian. Just like if somebody identifies themselves as a woman, but they're not wearing a dress, doesn't mean that they're not a woman.
Right, and if they have stubble and broad shoulders, I don't actually look at them like a woman. I can't help it. It's literally something I cannot help.
That's fine. I understand that the perception is developing here, but you're contradicting yourself completely here. If somebody
Okay.
dresses up as, or let's say somebody believes themselves to be a woman, okay? So somebody believes themselves to be a woman, and then usually what that follows is presenting yourself that way as well. Similarly, you can believe yourself to be a Christian, and that follows presenting yourself like that as well, whether it be going on missions trips, going to church, talking about God, telling people that you're a Christian. But
Hey.
if you don't go to church or do any of the actions, you can still be a Christian. Just like if you don't wear a dress or put on makeup, you
superficial
can
one.
still be you can still be a woman.
Do you think there are differences in biological sexes like that are that follow? I mean, do you think men and women have the same athletic ability on average?
No, but this is completely aside the point. This is like a massive
No,
pivot.
it's not. There.
You're
I
pivoting.
didn't come here to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind, okay? I think I got corralled in here by your mods saying I can't talk unless I come on here.
Well,
and
yeah, because
argue
you've been
with you,
for the
basically.
last 3.5 hours, you've been saying super dumb shit in my chat, and now I
I
see
don't think
why
it's
you.
dumb.
I know you don't, and that's why you're the Dunning-Kruger
Think-
personified here, because
Alright.
you're not even able to perceive yourself as being wrong. You're not
No.
even open to the idea that maybe you could have your mind changed. You just think this way because you think this way, even though it's inconsistent with other forms of social identities like religion.
I don't think seeing a linebacker in a skirt is ridiculous. Not to think that they're not a woman, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, and
It
I
doesn't
don't
mean that
think
they're not a
everybody
woman.
has to agree on it to be able to actually get along in society.
Well, when we have people who invalidate other people's experiences and perception of themselves, and then by doing so, you're leading to a net harm on that group of people, I would say, yeah, probably. Just like I think it would be wrong to say, well, we don't really know who's really a Christian, so let's just take away protection for religious beliefs because we don't really know. We can't ever actually prove who's really a Christian. That would be wrong. That would lead to a net harm ultimately because people have a right to practice their religion in this country so long as it doesn't harm other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of doing the same thing.
I think people have a right to self-identity, but they don't have a right to my perception of their identity.
That's fine. But if they have a right to self-identity, where are you willing to acknowledge that that self-identity is what holds the weight?
I'm not.
But you are willing to hold that position for
No,
religious
not-
people.
Religion is not the same as sex or what you would call gender. I think sex and gender are basically
Wait, it's
the
an
same.
internal perception and or belief about yourself.
No, it's not.
Which sometimes
That's
carries
what it is
behavioral
for you.
moves that doesn't always mean that you are not that thing if you don't engage in that behavior.
That's nice. That's what it is for you, but it's not what it is for me.
Are you high right now?
I'm not high at all.
Are you okay? Are you feeling all right?
I'm feeling great.
You want to step back? You all right? Have you talked to your
I'm
father
fine.
recently?
I'm ready to go full speed ahead.
It's we're not moving full speed ahead because you're applying this standard arbitrarily.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you
I do
are.
not
You don't like
think-
trans people, so you're applying this arbitrarily.
I did. Who said I don't like trans people?
You don't
You
need
just
to
met-
say
wow,
it.
that's
You're
a nice thing you
demonstrating
made
it
up out
right.
of thin air.
No. You're demonstrating it right here and right now when you're willing to validate the self-perception of, say, religious people, but not the self-perception of gender identity. They're both identities. They both carry a form of self-ID. And furthermore, they both are identifications in which you cannot empirically demonstrate that are also granted legal protection. You're arbitrarily denying this in regards to trans people.
Yes, I do not think it's entirely a self-identity. That's where we disagree.
Okay, so what is it then?
I think it has pretty deep roots in biological sex.
Do you think that it has correlative roots? Or do
No.
you think that it has actual causal roots?
What the hell does causal mean?
Do you think that the gender, in regards to what I'm talking about, wearing suits, wearing dresses, makeup, long hair, more social things, do you think that that comes about via society and social interaction? Or do you think that comes about because this person has a penis and or vagina?
I think it's a bit of both, but it's not entirely one or the other.
How? Okay, wait. It literally by definition is. So when children are born, if a child is born with a penis, there are going to be social expectations and roles that are placed on them. Because they have a penis, their parent dresses them in the color blue. Their parent puts them in more masculine clothing. And that shapes the perception this child has of themselves as they grow up. That's social.
Yeah.
So it's social. It's not anything to do actually with the genitalia. We could arbitrarily decide, from now on, everyone born with a vagina, we're going to dress in blue.
Like this, I've heard literally every argument. It's not like you're gonna come up with something I've never heard, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh my God, I've been wrong this whole time." It's not. It's not like that. I already heard all the arguments. I know what I think a woman is, and it's not what you think.
So you're just like clinging to your own ignorance then?
No,
If you've heard all these arguments over and over again and you're also unable to refute them, then it sounds to me like you're just sticking your head in the sand and just refusing to acknowledge that you're very demonstrably wrong.
I'm refusing to lie.
Okay, so how are you lying by acknowledging trans people?
Okay, because me, seeing, just say some guy decided was living as a man one day. The next day they decided they're a woman, and they said, "Hey, so I'm a woman now, and I'm supposed to pretend like, yep, that's exactly the same as my mom, my sister. They're exactly the same.
Not
That's what you want me
exactly
to
the
say?
same. Tall
Okay,
women and short women are not exactly
no,
the same.
it's a little more different than that.
Women carries different meanings depending on who you're talking about. For example,
Depending on who
let's
you
flip
talk
this around.
to.
Let's say there's somebody who I don't know, has really broad shoulders, they're really buff, but they also have long hair. Are they a woman?
Has nothing to do with it.
Because they could
Neither does
hypothetically
having.
present themselves in a way that is perceived as more masculine.
I don't
However,
think
that
having
doesn't take
long
away from
hair.
their self-perception of being a woman. If you have a woman who goes to the gym every day and she's tall, has broad shoulders, and is really buff and more muscular than the average guy, she's not a man. It's her self-perception that changes it.
Hmm. People have all kinds of self-perception. Some people think they're a goddamn dog. So what?
No, nobody really thinks they're a goddamn dog. And even if they
Yeah, they
did,
do.
hold on. A dog,
Oh, the
hold
big
on, wait, wait,
mentally
wait.
ill.
Be quiet. A dog is
You
not a
be fucking
socially
quiet.
constructed identity. So that's completely
You
irrelevant.
say, I just don't think that's entirely the whole story. That's fine if you do.
So give me the rest of the story, please. I'm on chapter
Having
2. Write the ending for me.
a vagina, okay? One that was naturally given to them, when they were born.
So,
A female. You
So
know
ho-
what I think a woman is. Are you confused by what I am telling you I think a woman is? Is that a
first of all,
problem?
you're actually, I think you would argue, or I think you're arguably being sexist because you're reducing women to nothing but their vaginas. Second of all, have you ever seen your sister's, have you
no.
ever seen your sister's vagina?
I'm not going to talk to you about my sister's fucking vagina.
Well, I
Have you ever
surely hope you
fucking sucked
haven't.
it?
But then again, if you haven't, how are you then determining this person is a woman? Probably because they tell you they are and also take steps to present that way.
I asked you again. I'm asking. Are you confused on you think that I'm telling you? I think a woman is.
I think that you're trying to argue that a
A
woman
woman is a female.
is a
human
female,
being.
but when you don't see the biological makeup of another human, but still take them at their word when they say they are a woman, or if they present a certain way, and then you determine that they are a woman based on the way they present themselves, aka gender, you're being inconsistent. When we're talking about trans people,
I mean, I
you
could be
say,
wrong.
no, it's all about biology. That's it. But in your day-to-day life, you call people women all the fucking time without ever seeing their vaginas.
Yes, with 99.999% accuracy, I would say.
Okay. So we're back to the correlation, not causation. Also, somebody in chat saying, genuinely confused how saying women have vaginas is sexist. That is not what I said was sexist. I said that reducing the definition of woman to nothing but having
Okay.
a vagina is sexist.
I think reducing it to wearing a dress and putting on makeup is sexist.
That's not what I reduced it to.
Oh yeah, you are. You're saying if they identify as a woman and act a certain way sociologically, that makes them a woman.
If they have the
don't think that's it.
self-perception of being a woman, that's what makes them a woman. They will most likely take steps to present themselves in line with the socially constructed gendered expressions that we have applied to women on average. Sure, but if they don't, I already said this, just if they don't do this, doesn't mean that they are then not a woman.
Okay. I think it's unhealthy for society in general.
How so?
Because they need like special fucking accommodations. I mean, it's not an issue when biological males compete with biological females in sports. That's no issue whatsoever.
First of all, it can very well be an issue. I don't know
Right.
how much you followed me, but I'm not exactly the most far left when it comes to that issue. Because to
I
be
don't know
completely
exactly
honest,
where you
it's totally aside the point. Even if I were to say, yeah, trans women who are biologically male shouldn't be competing against cis women who are biologically female, that doesn't mean that trans people are invalid. It's just not acknowledging that cis women and trans women are in fact different, which nobody denies.
Okay, well, I think we don't really disagree on very much besides a slight way we define
No, we
something.
disagree on a pretty massive amount, my dude. Don't try to backpedal
exactly?
into, oh, we actually agree.
No, what
Ooh-woo.
exactly do we? What's the big, huge thing we disagree on?
You think that a woman is just someone with a vagina. but you don't apply that standard to your day-to-day life.
I said I could. There's a slight 0.0001 percentage chance that I could be wrong. Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for how much you're in denial right now.
I'm not in denial.
You're not like giving any kind of solid arguments. You're not even really making an argument. You're just like, no, it's reduced to a vagina. Okay. So then,
some guy that watches YouTube videos that got corralled in by your mods. So what?
So if there's a trans person who has had a gender reassignment and they no longer have a penis, they now have a vagina. Are they now a woman?
Oh God, they're an abomination, is what they are.
So they're still not a woman, even though you
No.
just said a vagina is what determines if somebody is a woman.
I said a naturally born one. You missed that part.
How do you? What does that mean? What if they're intersex and have to undergo a surgery to make it so that they only have a vagina?
So now you've backpedaled to using an exception to prove a rule.
I'm not using an exception to prove a rule. I'm using an exception to prove that your definition does not suffice.
How many intersex people are born with a penis and vagina?
I do not know, and it doesn't matter.
Not
Because if
very
there's
many.
even a
I don't.
single one, then it shows that your definition is incorrect and doesn't actually account for everyone who is then a woman
I think it
who
does.
also might
I think
have
it
a
does
vagina.
I think it does matter how many.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to talk to you. It's like talking to a brick wall.
You can't. You're not going to change my. I told you you're not going to change my mind. I mean, there's no thing you can say that's going to be like, oh, I just told you that earlier.
Yeah, okay, so how are they an abomination then?
These parts that these plastic surgeons put on or take off, they don't always work out too well.
Do they ever work out well?
I have no clue what the percentage chance that they are that they
Well,
work
you
out.
were
or
a
that they
very
don't.
big stickler for percentages all but 3 seconds ago. If, for example, I was able to demonstrate to you that the percentage of trans people who undergo this surgery live better, happier, healthier lives, would it no longer be an abomination?
Who's giving the information that they're living better lives? How's this information collected?
There are various different studies. There's not just one single study. So there's the Cornell Systematic Review, which I'm sure you've already
And that's
seen.
what study. I asked, how are they asking the people that have it done? Are they asking their family members?
Some of them might be asking the people. There are others where it's based on the assessment done by a doctor.
Okay.
So if that were the case, would it no longer be an abomination?
I just don't think it actually changes their sex, which in turn
That's not the
doesn't make them a
question.
real man or
That's not the
woman.
question. We're not talking about sex anyway. We're talking about more so gender here. So let's back up. How is it an abomination?
From the ones I've seen, they don't look very good.
So if it doesn't look good, it's an abomination? I mean, damn, I would hate to look at
Sort
you in
of.
the mirror.
Yep.
Okay, well, honestly, you're an abomination, so bye.
All right, later.
And there we have it. What a seriously massive piece of shit. All right, this guy's perma-banned. Banned for being a brain-dead cuck. Goodbye. And for using a slur. Fuck off, man. These conversations have gotten so predictable at this point. Master of Reality. That was his username. Yeah, more like Master of Denial. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.